Is the so-called broken edition of the Huawei Pura 90 actually nothing more than a rebranded Nova 15 Ultra in disguise? Even though their hardware specification sheets indicate that they are at least 91% identical, are their internal components truly interchangeable with one another? Well, why don't we go ahead and try swapping the components between these two devices to see if they actually function as expected. Surprisingly, the standard Pura 90 at just $46.99 is actually better than the Pro Max. There are three reasons for this. First, with Huawei, pricier models offer better value, which is why people prefer the Ultra. Second, many claim the standard Pura 90 is just a rebadged Nova 15 Ultra. Third, the CEO himself criticized the design team for its engineering student aesthetic. Huawei possesses a truly unique, remarkable ability that only they and Apple share. Designs everyone initially calls ugly before the official launch eventually grow on people, and are even hailed as absolute timeless design classics. Now let's take a moment to compare the Nova 15 Ultra with it. Between the Pura and the Nova, which of these two distinct designs do you personally think looks better? Let me see it in the chat. Aside from the camera module, the weight and feel of both phones are very similar, and there's only a 0.1mm difference in thickness. I also compared the screens. They look very similar inside. In terms of specs, the only differences are the dimming frequency and peak brightness. The Nova has a higher dimming frequency. The Pura display is noticeably brighter, which effectively makes it a dead heat between the two. They both utilize the exact same infrared camera, a massive 6500 mAh battery, which is the largest one Huawei has ever produced, the Kirin 9010S processor, and the identical lens configuration. So does this mean that they are essentially just the same device with a different name? Let's go ahead and open this device up right away so that we can take a look and see if the internal components are actually the exact same as the original. We'll need to heat it up, then add a few drops of isopropyl alcohol, and finally carefully take the back cover off. Both back covers are made of fiberglass. I look closely, the internal foam padding on these panels is quite different. The motherboard covers both feature Huawei's signature custom design. The flash sensors and NFC coils are all distinct. Also, the infrared camera placement differs. One is RT. The other top right. Now let's remove the motherboard cover. First off, a major difference is that the Nova has this large aluminum block. When we tore it down at launch, I couldn't figure it out, and honestly, I still don't get it now. Any experts out there who can enlighten me? As for the wireless charging coil under the cover, both phones support 50W, and for wired charging, they both support 100W. Next, let's look at the camera module. Looking at the hardware specs, both phones have the same main camera sensor size and pixel count, so there won't be much difference in image quality. However, the Nova 15 Ultra features a variable aperture, the same one found on the 90 Pro Max, which adds a bit more versatility. You can manually adjust the blur when shooting things like food. As for the wide-angle lens, the Nova 15 Ultra is slightly better. It has a larger sensor and higher resolution. Even though the telephoto sensors themselves are technically different, their specifications are actually identical, which means that the overall performance remains exactly the same. In fact, both of these devices utilize the exact same first-generation infrared sensor technology. That is correct! The standard 90 model unfortunately lacks the upgraded second-generation version found elsewhere. When you look at the big picture, the imaging capabilities on the 15 Ultra are just a little bit better. There's another point that often goes unnoticed. The Nova 15 Ultra uses an all-RYYB sensor array. For the same sensor size, its light intake is significantly higher than the RGB array found in the standard Pura 90. If photography is your priority, the Nova 15 Ultra is actually the better choice. Plus, the second-hand price of the Nova 15 Ultra on Juan has already dropped to around 2,600 Yen. That's a full 2,000 Yen cheaper than the 4,600 Yen price tag of the standard Pura 90. Every single device sold by Juan undergoes a series of extremely rigorous and thorough official inspections, which means that the overall quality is absolutely guaranteed for every single customer. Now, when we look at the front-facing cameras, they appear to be identical pieces of first-generation infrared hardware. But the real question is, are they actually interchangeable between these different models? I decided to go ahead and swap them out just to put that theory to the test. It turns out that only the wide-angle lens actually functions, but unfortunately, it is completely lacking any form of image stabilization. As for the main camera, it simply refuses to work at all because the ribbon connectors do not match up properly at all. So don't listen to all that nonsense online. Saying it's just a rebadged model is total rubbish. I took a look at those two top speakers, and they both come from Goertek, and the driver unit specs should be the same as well. However, in terms of the overall speaker design, the Nova 15 Ultra features a fully enclosed integrated metal design, while the Pura 90 uses a semi-enclosed one. Now, as for why one is fully enclosed and the other is semi-enclosed, I think it's because the Nova's camera deco is thicker, allowing for a fully sealed chamber. The Pura's is flattened at the top right, lacking vertical space, so it uses a semi-chamber. But a semi-sealed design isn't inferior. It utilizes other phone cavities as a speaker chamber. only じゃあ data won't count 这种 ultrasonic side is that at high volume, the back cover may vibrate slightly. So, I compared the sound quality of these two phones. After listening, which one do you think has better sound quality? Next, let's remove the motherboard. Both sides feature a dual-layer stacked board design, and both processors are the Kirin 9210. Was 麻烦的19啊，这些我那些啦，好像说到把忙生意是，但对吧？把些大进来说讲，嘛真的行业上来，有些啊，是呢，啊，是呢，很难行业是。But sister, how does its performance compare to the Android experience? Not to show any tech gurus here. No, not regardless. Harmony OS Next is perfectly smooth. Both use mid-frame cutouts for direct touch VC cooling, so the performance is identical. Both pack 6500 mAh batteries, the largest in Huawei's lineup. So, what is that equivalent to on the Android side? Feel free to share your thoughts in the comments. Both devices feature a single-cell battery design with dual connectors. I checked the battery models and they look identical. Theoretically, they should be interchangeable. However, just like Apple, Huawei batteries are encrypted, so even if you swap them, the device won't boot up properly. Other specs on the charging port assembly, like the USB 2.0 transfer speed and the Z-axis linear motor, are also pretty much the same. Having taken the time to tear these devices down completely, I can confidently say that labeling them as merely reshelled versions of each other is fundamentally incorrect. When you look at the performance, the Pura 90 clearly and decisively outperforms the Lenovo 15 Pro in almost every category. To start with, the Pura carries a much higher level of prestige. It is a true flagship device, whereas the Nova series is specifically designed to target a younger demographic. From a psychological standpoint, the Pura simply feels like a much more premium and sophisticated piece of hardware in your hand. Furthermore, the overall build quality and the intricate design language are objectively superior. Given all of these factors, which one would you personally choose to use? Feel free to share your thoughts in the comments.